What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 195, and today we're doing another solo cast. Today is the first episode I've recorded on these new Shure SM7B microphones. We got the studio looking like the Joe Rogan studio. They're on these nice articulating arms, and so I'm hoping that the audio sounds fucking unbelievable, but new equipment. I'm just using it for the first time, so if there are any issues, that will be why, but hopefully that is not the case. A lot to talk about today. As you guys are well aware, I like to incorporate solo episodes every, 5, 6, 7 episodes because I like to articulate my thoughts and my perspectives, and I don't want to take away from guests' interviews and just take over and start talking about the shit that I want to talk about. And that happens sometimes. So in a way to avoid that, we just do our solo episodes from time to time. A lot to talk about today. I want to get into some of the healing modalities and some of the new biohacking, as they call it, things that I've been doing. And that term has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way because it just seems like it allows people to think like these new modalities that I'm using to make my body better are just kind of like some abstract hack. But really, they're rooted in the same types of things that have been keeping people healthy since the beginning of time. So there's 3 things that I've incorporated into my daily routine that I'm excited to tell you guys about. But before we get into that, it's going to be story time. We have a couple stories to tell on the Endless Endeavor today, and I'm going to kind of come down on this lady a little hard. And I thought about this before the show, before recording today, and it's like, is it really necessary to bring this up again? Because I briefly talked about it last week when Andy and Marcus were on, but because Andy is a local chief of police, I'm not just going to start berating this woman and saying, oh, what a fucking bitch she is and all this. But the reason that I think it's important to bring up is because one thing that I see with the parents that seem to give the most pushback when it comes to physical activity, they're usually very, very, very unhealthy themselves. And so that's a strange place as a coach to see a morbidly obese parent that is not only averse to doing physical activity themselves, but they are also clearly averse to allowing their children to be put through rigorous activities. And the ironic thing is they want to act like they're protecting their children, but they're not protecting them from anything. When you protect someone from learning about the value of hard work and physical exertion, when you protect them from that, you are all but ensuring that they are going to grow up and be subjected to a lifetime of sickness and illness and incapability. And that is not the path that we need to be on. And so for those of you that haven't heard, I ranted on it on my Instagram a little bit, but I'm just going to tell the story. And then I think it'll be cool to read my response on Google reviews because I fucking roasted this bitch because she did what people typically do. They get upset about something and they go to the internet and they start to fucking rant and vent online. So let me paint a picture. I am covering the little kids class at my academy. Normally I don't teach little kid class, but my little kid coach is out because of a surgery and I'm running the little kid class now. And I'm actually really enjoying it. I used to say I don't like teaching little kids jiu-jitsu because sometimes it feels like herding cats. But you know what? This is ages 5 to 9. 6 to 9 is typically what we say because 4 and 5-year-olds can be tough to work with. But we make exceptions and we allow kids that are younger to try the program and see if it's a good fit for them. But if they're just staring at the fan and unable to be captivated or have their keep their attention on me while I'm giving instruction, if they are not able to do that, then they probably need to wait another year or two. So this lady brings in a 4-year-old, right? Which is pretty young, but my coach says, hey, let's give them a try and let's see how it goes. And here's the sad part. The child herself was actually willing to work hard and try. She couldn't do any of the moves. And her body is already metabolically sick because it's very clear that the mom and her habits and her her eating patterns and the things that are obviously taking place inside of that house to make her a morbidly obese woman, the child is already following in her footsteps. And the child's BMI is already at a rate where she would be considered obese. And it's sad. Think about that. A 4-year-old child that's obese. And the kid, though, was willing to work hard and not complain and not have any problems with the way that class is structured. And not that that necessarily matters. I'm not going to tailor my class to what 4-year-olds think. But the interesting thing is, it wasn't the child that was having an issue. It was the mom that was having an issue. So the way that I structure kids' class is we warm up with running and movement drills. Then we do our technique and we learn specific jiu-jitsu moves and we drill those. And then we end the day with sparring. Now, the last couple minutes of the class, sometimes I'll do what are just called like a static leg hold. For those of you in the military, like the flutter kick position, you put your hands under your butt and then you just hold your legs at 6 inches off the ground. Your heels are 6 inches off the ground. And I put 90 seconds on the clock. And I said, all right, guys, this is only 90 seconds. Your abdominal muscles will probably start burning by the end of it, and you'll feel a little bit of pain. But don't think of this as a physical fitness exercise. I want you to think of this as a mental toughness exercise. Because if you want to quit and it starts to hurt, you need to choose to be strong and not quit. And a lot of the kids get it. A lot of kids are excited to be able to show professor how tough they are. And 90 seconds, it concludes. Everything's fucking... Practice is fine. We line up, we bow out. And the second that bow out is complete, this fat bitch kicks her shoes off and waddles over to the middle of my mats and instantly approaches me with the most condescending fucking behavior I'd ever seen in my entire life. And she puts her hand up to shake my hands and goes, hi. And you are? Like, well, I'm the fucking owner of this place, bitch, for one. But I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not an egotistical person. Like, she doesn't know me. She doesn't know me. So before I went hard on her, I was like, well, let's just see where this goes. So I shook her hand, introduced myself, said, my name's Greg. What's going on? And she instantly goes, listen, whatever that little thing was that you just did, that's not how we do things around here. And I was like, oh, really? Well, please tell me, what do we do around here? And she goes, we end the day with games, fun, things that put smiles on kids' faces, things that make them laugh, things that are uplifting to them, not that little like torture session that you just put them through, like you're some wannabe drill sergeant or something. So let me tell you how it's going to work. If I ever see something like that again in this facility, I will be canceling both my children's membership on the spot. And bro, I'm fucking here to tell you, in 43 years of being on planet Earth, I've never had someone just come at me with that type of just disregard for my respect as a fucking man and as a human being. Take the fact that I built this place and it's on my property and I'm the owner and I'm the head professor. Take all that shit and put it on the back burner, because it really doesn't matter if you think about it. If she treated me like that or she treated anyone else like that under my roof, my response is going to be the same. So I looked right at her. I said, luckily for you, you don't have to worry about threatening to cancel your kids' contracts if you don't like how I behave in the future, because their contracts are both canceled effective immediately. Get the fuck out of the building and do not come back. And here's the weird thing. She looked at me shocked and was like, what? No one's ever talked to me like that before. You can't speak to me like that. And this is why I'm bringing this up on today's show, because a lot of people think you can just berate and disrespect and be condescending, and the other members of this fucking society that share planet Earth with you just have to fucking take a knee and bend a knee to your fucking outrageous behavior and just accept it. And the reason that we're there is because we've allowed these motherfuckers to be able to say and do and act however the fuck they want and never get checked. Now, I'll tell you right now, I think that the threat of violence as part of a functioning society is typically a good thing, right? If you want to just outright disrespect someone and be very, very fucking passive aggressive and rude with them, there should be the potential for that person to punch you in the fucking mouth. And if that option was on the table, I don't think as many people would be acting in the way that they're acting. But unfortunately for me, she was a female. That doesn't mean I didn't want to punch her. Trust me. Like, that is the first time in my life, I think, that I have wanted to impart violence on a woman. But I did. I wanted to just fucking wham and knock her out, because it's like, dude, you stepped to me with aggression. You were telling me that you were ready to meet me in the realm of aggression. How else do you want people to respond to that? And so I threw her out of the gym, and it was very clear that no one had ever checked her before. And guys, being checked is important. Like, if you are fucking being out of control, the people to your left and right should immediately call you out on it and be like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? I think I was the first person in this fat bitch's life to ever look her in the eye and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's not how it works around here. You don't get to just fucking barge in here and start fucking thinking that you own the place and you get to fucking call the shots. I said, if you want to go open a jiu-jitsu academy, because apparently you have these fucking great ideas on how to train people, go fucking do it. I would love to see how successful it is. I also told her, you are extremely lucky that you are a female right now. Because if a man came to me with the level of fucking disrespect that you're coming to me with right now, you'd have a serious, serious fucking problem on your hands that you wouldn't be able to deal with. And so, and this is typical of these people. As I'm throwing her out, her daughter's trying to put her shoes on and just taking forever, right? And this woman clearly was using this as an opportunity to keep fucking throwing little insults out. Little insults. Just, you're the meanest person I've ever fucking met, blah, blah, blah. Like, just throwing insults out. So I looked at her, I said, what part about get the fuck off the property is confusing to you? And she's like, my daughter's putting her shoes on and you would still throw us out before her shoes are on. Thinking like, that's a I got you moment, right? And I said, get the fuck out and get your daughter the fuck out of here too without her shoes on. I don't give a fuck about her shoes. You can put them on in the fucking car. Get the fuck out. And that was one of her talking points when she made the bad review. But I honestly think, I've thought a lot about this because I've been open 10 years. I've never had this type of interaction with a human being in my fucking life. So I thought a lot about it. And it's like, dude, I honestly think this lady is a big, fat, miserable slob. Probably hates herself, probably hates her life, which is all a derivative of her bad choices. So I don't feel sorry for her at all. But she's pulling her children down that same path with her. And I wonder, is it by incompetence or is it by design? Because misery loves company. And if you are a big, fat, fucking miserable bitch, and then your child is out on the mat working hard and sweating and feeling the power and feeling what jiu-jitsu is, you can't really have that, can you? Because if you allow that, that says a lot about who you are yourself and the things that you are lacking in your life and the things that you are avoiding in your life. And so part of me wonders, and maybe it was even on a subconscious level, that she's like, you know what? I gotta fucking stir the pot here so we can just get the fuck out of here, because I don't want my daughter leveling up past me. I think that's what these sick fuckers are doing. And so I want less government intrusion in my life. You guys know that. I'm a fucking freedom guy, right? But you can't have parents making children intentionally sick. I feel like there needs to be, you want to talk about something we need oversight on? We need oversight on fucking morbidly obese children. Like, if you are poisoning your fucking kid, what do we do? What's the right answer? And guys, I don't have it. I don't know what the right answer is. But if your kid is 10 years old and 250 pounds, you're fucking killing that kid. And Poisoning people and making them sick, that's illegal. Unless you do it with food. And if you do it with food, now it's not illegal. Now, guys, again, that's why I said less government intrusion, because I don't know what the right answer is. Because if you give a kid goldfish crackers, should that be allowed? Well, yeah, I don't need the government telling me what I can feed my kids and what I can't. But if you're putting things in your kid's mouth that doesn't serve them and makes them sick, you got to ask yourself, what the fuck are you doing? And it's a massive, massive fucking problem. So I've said it before, my kids are in private school and they are around a group of kids that I would say hold a little higher standard. I know that might sound fucking arrogant or snobby, but I honestly think if you are putting your kids in private school, you probably are fed up with the public school system. And the reason you're fed up with it is because you hold a little higher standard for yourself and your children. And so when I go to private school pickup in the evenings and I see all these kids that are morbidly obese, it makes me think, fuck, man, what's public school like these days? I bet all the kids at public school are morbidly obese now. And we're just perpetuating the problem. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the parents, right, guys? If you're a fucking parent and you're feeding your fucking kids ice cream and your kid is fat, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Oh, it tastes good and it's yummy. Yeah, congratulations. It's fucking yummy to me too. And I don't fucking eat it because it's going to make me sick. Now, like I always say, we have to balance the joys of life with being disciplined and building a body that is fit, strong, and capable. The joys of life are sometimes going out to dinner with your family and getting a fucking piece of ice or a piece of cake or some ice cream as a dessert. I get all that. I'm not just some fucking tyrant. I'm not Sean Baker, all right, who has, I think he says he has like one piece of cake every couple of years at a birthday party or something like that. I think that it is good to sometimes deviate from your diet just out of the interest of sharing a moment with your family to celebrate something. You have people that are like, never give food as a celebration, never give food as a reward. And I get that because the impressionable young brain, you don't want to associate the dopamine hit of taking a bite of chocolate ice cream with being rewarded for cleaning your room or whatever it is, right? But at the same time, there is a balance in life. And you can enjoy ice cream sometimes and still be a physically fit, strong, capable person with a healthy body composition. You just have to find that balance. And balance is what most Americans are lacking. And again, if you want to lack it within your own personal life, that's fine, right? But if you fucking are doing that to your kids, it's time to change, guys. If you were listening right now and you have a fat kid, you are setting them up for failure. You are setting them up for a lifetime of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, arteriosclerosis, and on and on and on, because you are choosing to make your child happy in the moment as opposed to making your child happy in the long run. It's the exact same formula that we face as individuals. Do I want to feel yummy mouth pleasure right now? Or do I want to feel a strong, capable body that can run and jump and fight and walk for the next 30 years? You have to balance that. The sad thing is the kids don't have an understanding of that. And so they're putting their trust in you. And you are choosing yummy mouth pleasure for your kids over a lifetime of being inside of a body that functions properly. Serious discussion needs to take place in your household if you were one of those parents. It is absolutely unacceptable. Now, if your child is becoming overweight and you are feeding them poison in the household, well, what do we think we have to do? We have to get rid of it. That's what we have to do. Don't have fucking sanctions and certain amounts and you can have this if you get your homework done. Just get it the fuck out of the house. Have those moments of celebration, those moments of deviation from clean eating, and have them out, away from the house. But if you have the bullshit in your cupboard, sooner or later, someone's going to open that cupboard, and now they're faced with a dilemma that you don't need to face them with. Allow them to go open that cupboard and see apples and just meat sticks, whatever it is, right? And guys, rice cakes, like even some potato chips they got potato chips now that are just literally potatoes that are sliced with some sea salt and baked. Like there are options to have snacks in your house that are not poisonous to your fucking child. But if you have fucking Pop-Tarts and Frosted Flakes, bitch, we got a problem. And so clearly this lady has decided to be on team poison your children their entire lives. And when someone finally called them out on it, man, she lost her shit. And so I was thinking about reading it to you guys, but it's a very long review from her. And so instead of reading it and wasting your guys' time, I am just going to tell you, go to Electric North Jiu-Jitsu's Google review page and scroll down to Sarah's 2-star review. Bitch gave me 2 stars. Thank you. It's because she likes one of the instructors here, just not me. I'm a dark person. And read her review and then read my response. And I think if you're having a bad day, reading my response will make you have a good day. I'll say this too, guys, because I don't think being mean to people on the internet is something that serves you at all. Like I've talked about it on the podcast a lot. You're not going to see me on Twitter or on Instagram talking shit to people or telling them hard truths. But when they come after your business, when they come after your livelihood and publicly state what you were doing as part of your livelihood is, and try and paint a picture about how flawed you are around that, I think at that point, not only should you, I kind of think you're obligated to respond to that person. Because there is the potential for people to read that and think, oh man, that dude's a piece of shit. And so if you're posting things with the intent of making people think I'm a piece of shit and hurting my livelihood, then I'm obligated to fucking let you have it. And that is exactly what I did. I might share it on Instagram today too, just because it's kind of funny. But yeah, go take a look at that. If you want to leave me a review, please do. Just don't leave me a bad review. If you hate me, if you're one of those few people that hate the show but still listen to it, don't go to my Jiu-Jitsu Academy website and give any reviews. But I really, really want parents to think about, are your choices serving your children? Because if the answer is no, we have to be better. And that is it. We have to be better. I don't think that you start to understand or have the cognition to be able to dictate what you eat in a healthy manner, probably until you're like 16, 17 years old. Maybe 14, 15. There's some of the young kids that are becoming studs that are starting to get like dialed in on what to eat and what not to eat. But your 9, 10, 11-year-olds, they're going to eat the yummiest option that's presented to them. That's what they're going to do. And unfortunately, nature has hardwired our brains to seek the most calorically dense foods because since the beginning of time until 100 years ago, we went through periods of feast and famine. So when a calorically dense food, like some type of fruit or something with a high fat content is available, man, we want to eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it. And that is because we want a surplus of calories to be able to then endure that famine stage that is inevitably going to come. You know, winter comes and, you know, we got everything that we could from the harvest, and now foraging is tough and hunting is tough. And now you're going to have to suffer a little bit. And that is why our bodies like to get fat. Very simple concept. But just make sure that you are educating your children on this process, because I am here to tell you, I got out of shape after my surgery, and here I am. What is it? Fucking December, January, February, March. I'm 3 months post-op, and I'm feeling pretty fucking good. But I'm here to tell you, getting back on the horse, getting back on the grind, lifting weights, doing my cardiovascular exercise, getting back into my routine was a lot tougher than I anticipated it being. I literally thought like, this is fucking nothing. This is just a little bump in the road and I'll be back before I know it. And here we are 3 months later and I'm not back yet. I've talked about it. I've talked about it on here before. I've talked about it on my Instagram. Not only am I not back in how well I am performing, but I'm not back yet on a body composition level either. I look at myself and I'm like, fuck, man, I let myself go. Now, I let myself go with extenuating circumstances. But the reason that I bring this up is because it kind of opened my eyes to how difficult it can be to get back on that horse. And that's after a person like myself who has lived a lifetime of physical fitness. And so for people that have lived a lifetime of physical fitness, and now here you are, 3 months removed from your routine you've been doing for 25 years, and it's kind of tough, man, what that makes me understand is the people that have never done that, the people that have never been physically active, the people that have never had a body that's in shape, man, getting up on that horse and fucking getting after it, it might be almost impossible. And so because of how tough that probably is to do alone, that is where the team environment comes alive. That is where Electric North Jiu-Jitsu comes alive. That is where Forge Ferocity is going to come live very soon. I think we're less than a week out from going live. Maybe by the time this airs, Forge Ferocity will be open. And I'm gonna talk about that a little bit because I think it's important for people to understand if you are that person that is at that point where getting back on that horse or maybe getting up on that horse for the first time ever just feels like this daunting task that is on the verge of being impossible, I promise you, it is going to be exponentially easier if you have people to your left and your right that are encouraging, supporting, and are excited to see you win. And that right there is the key, guys. The people in your life need to be excited to see you excel at the goals that you've put in front of yourself. And most people have a core group of friends, and I'm putting quotations around that. They have a core group of friends that, sure, they may drink beer with and they may hang out with them and they may have a social relationship with them. But those friends are either overtly or subconsciously always holding them back. It's the crabs in the bucket mentality. And when you live amongst the people that operate like the crabs in the bucket, good luck pulling ahead. Good luck ever building a tribe of people that are going to uplift you and make you feel good about yourself and support you and help you take that step to the next level. Most people are averse to assisting you or supporting you into taking a step to that next level because that makes them have to look at themselves and say, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get there? Why didn't I do that? Why are they up here now and I'm still down there? That's when you hear often. I've heard that a lot from my friends that have busted their ass and are starting to set their life on a new trajectory. The old friends will start to kind of poo-poo on it and be like, bro, you used to come drinking with us on Saturdays and now you're too good for that. And it's like, well, no. It's not that I'm too good for drinking. It's that when I go drinking on Saturday, Sunday, I feel like shit and I'm not very productive. And on Sundays, I need to get this done and I need to get that done. And then I need to start to prepare for Monday. Like once you're on the path of making things happen, drinking a bunch of alcohol puts a fucking roadblock in that. And a lot of people think that alcohol is how you socialize. And again, guys, fuck, man, we could talk all day about the dichotomy of these things and balance, right? Just use common sense. I've got on the fucking podcast and pounded beers with Folk and Jordan and Kozak. Like I'm not an anti-alcohol guy. Just be smart about it and use it in moderation or maybe cut it out completely if you don't have the ability to have a healthy relationship with alcohol. But what you see is these people that have built a social circle around alcohol. Once you don't want to partake, what's wrong with you? You're a problem. You used to be this way. Now you're that way. Imagine telling one of your friends who said, hey, I'm going to take, let's just say they're doing 75 hard, for instance. I'm going to take 75 days off of booze. Imagine one of your friends coming to you and saying that, and you respond with some type of disappointment. If you respond with disappointment because your friend wants to back off of booze, I'm going to let you in a little secret. The issue isn't between you and the friend. The issue's between you and your relationship with alcohol. So go look in the fucking mirror and say, why would I get upset if another man doesn't want to drink beer for a certain amount of time? And if you can't be honest with yourself, I'll just go ahead and give you the answer right now. It's because you have a problem with alcohol. And again, misery loves company. So if you know you have a problem and some of your friends have problems and then they correct the problem, well, now you're kind of flapping out there alone. So instead of getting upset, you know what you do? You fucking correct the problem too. Everybody can correct the problem if they want to. And it has to be a choice, right? And so if you're one of those people that is struggling to be able to build a network of people that are strong and supportive, man, you got to start looking. You got to seek it out. Greatness doesn't just come knocking on your door. You have to seek it out. You have to put yourself out there. You have to get uncomfortable. And guys, I had one of the best conversations of my life last night with a woman that signed up at the Jiu-Jitsu Academy literally, I think 2.5 weeks ago. Brand new student. And she walked onto the mats and she's like, hey, I just want to talk to you for a minute. And she goes, I just want to let you know something that I'm kind of out of shape. I have a bad knee. I have a bad rib. This jiu-jitsu stuff is very hard for me. And I was very nervous about giving this a try. But I decided I wanted to just really get outside of my comfort zone and try this. And she goes, it took me one day here to realize I'm not very good at this stuff. But what you do have here is a big group of people that are supportive and really uplifting and want to see you succeed. And I don't know how old she is. I want to be very apprehensive on guessing age. But I mean, I know that she has a 23-year-old son. And so she's in her late 40s, early 50s. And she's never done anything like this before. And now she finally took the step to step far outside of her comfort zone and show up to jiu-jitsu. And her favorite aspect is that the people to the left and the right of her on the mats want to see her succeed. And she said to me, never in my life have I been around a group of people that I barely know, that I'm literally just meeting, and they genuinely are supportive and they genuinely want to see me succeed. She goes, I've never found this in my life. And then she started crying and gave me a hug. And I was just like, and you know what I said to her? I gave her a hug and I said, hey, that's who we are and it's what we do. I don't need some comprehensive explanation to help her understand what's going on around here because she already feels it. She already touched the magic and she already feels it. She said everything that needed to be said. She found a group of people that are uplifting and that are excited to help her succeed. And guys, that's what we need in life. That is what we need in life. The people around you need to be excited to see you succeed. And if they're excited to see you succeed, guess what the inverse of that is? You being excited to see them succeed. And if you've found that environment, fucking A, sky's the limit. And so to piggyback off of that onto Forge Ferocity, which is, again, it's launching any fucking day. The website is completely built. My wife is actually on the doing a conference call with the website builder right now, and he's helping her learn about like all the back end stuff. And there's a lot, guys. It's a pretty comprehensive website. But the whole point of Forge Ferocity is to be able to build a community of people that want to see each other succeed and win. And they want to support each other, hold each other accountable, and actually show up each day, put in the work, and have good energy while they do it. Guys, again, I'll break it down for you, for those of you that haven't heard it before, very quickly. Monday is a team Zoom call. So Monday morning, everybody that is a team member will get a link, be able to log in, and we're going to talk about the week. And then Monday's Zoom call will go into the forum. So if you missed it, you can still log in and watch it. And then the next 4 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, are forum-based discussions on how to be better each day. I will open the forum. I will lead the forum as far as topic and what we're going to be discussing or learning. But after that, it's go time. You guys take the topics, or you ask questions. We can fucking veer left here or go right there and change what we were discussing in order to serve our teammates the best. But Tuesday is going to be about nutrition. Wednesday is going to be about fitness. Thursday is jiu-jitsu. And Friday is mental health and emotional well-being. All things that are important. That builds the foundation of who we are. And so I'm super fucking excited for this. I've got a lot of feedback. I have a lot of people waiting. We've had a lot of emails where you go to forgeferocity.com. You can subscribe. And if you go there and subscribe and submit your email, what that is going to do is it's going to put you in our mass email list. So when we do launch and go live, we can send that out and you can be notified via email when that happens. And I'm fucking excited. I'm excited because, again, that mentality that we have out on the mats, we're going to bring it to an online community. So I know I've talked about that a decent amount, but I just want to touch on it because it's going live soon. A couple other things that we need to talk about. I don't know if you guys saw on Instagram. I want to tell you guys a couple stories because I posted on Instagram a boxing match that I had in Marrakesh, Morocco. And I'm not a good enough boxer to go over to Morocco to take a fight. I was on vacation in Morocco, and a kid walked up to me and goes, "Will you box me in the town square?" And it's like, what? It kind of, it catches you off guard. Like, what do you mean, will I box you? And it's very clear part of their culture is once the sun goes down in Marrakesh, the town comes alive. Morocco's hot as fuck, and it's in the desert. And so the town's kind of dead during the day. And as the sun goes down, man, everybody comes out and the town starts to come alive. So that night, a bunch of people were out there, and this kid was clearly targeting Americans, right? Because an American you beat up an American in the town center, it's probably a good time for everybody. And again, it wasn't coming from a place like, fuck you, America. It was just like, hey, you want to box me? And yeah, I'll box you. I was a 16-year-old kid myself at the time, but I had 2 years of boxing, which it's a substantial amount of boxing for most 16-year-old kids. And we put gloves on, and they had a ref, and we fought. And I ended up winning a decision. And there's a picture of it on my Instagram, and it's a cool picture because it's right in the middle of the fight. And you can tell this guy's ducking out of the way, and I'm trying to cut an angle on him. And in this moment in time where this picture was captured, you can tell there's actually, there's a decent amount of fight IQ being fucking exercised in this moment. And so I was thinking about this the other day. And the reason this just came up is I cleaned my garage the other day and I came across this old picture and I was like, oh shit, I haven't thought about that in fucking 20 years. And so I snapped a picture of it with my phone and shared it. But I wanted to bring it up from not only like, oh, that's a cool story, but man, the other side of the world, the kids in the other side of the world, I don't think they're afraid to put gloves on and throw hands for 10 minutes or whatever it was. And it made me think, like, where did we go wrong to where young men are averse to fighting each other with boxing gloves on. Like, you don't have to want to be a fucking professional fighter or even a good boxer. But I do think it's a good thing to put gloves on and go and test yourself against your friends. When I was in 8th grade, we used to do that all the time. We go to my friend Matt Kendall's house, and that fucking dude was tough as shit. And he beat the fuck out of me one day. And we were like best friends. And there was no hard feelings. I'm not mad at Matt because he's a better boxer than me, but that's kind of what little boys did back then. So let me know. I want to know, do little boys still put boxing gloves on and fight each other? Because that was just a part of growing up. And when I posted that picture, a lot of the comments, tons of the comments on that picture were guys saying, yeah, that was what we did when we were kids. And sometimes you would settle problems that way too, right? Like, oh, meet me here. Like, you want to be a prick to me? Meet me here and we're going to settle it. I think it's a healthy way not only to settle disputes, but it's a healthy way for young men to compete against each other, feel those nerves, feel that adversity, and understand what stepping into the realm of physical violence kind of entails. Like, I tell people this all the time that are averse to training. You do not want to learn what physical violence feels like for the first time, during a real world physically violent encounter. That's worst case scenario. You want to know what getting choked, punched, kicked, scraped, headbutt, like all that shit. You want to learn that in a controlled environment where you're training with friends. And then maybe you up the stakes a little bit and you compete. So now you're learning about the next level of physical violence through other people that legitimately want to hurt you, but they want to hurt you from a place of sport and not a place of anger or rage. And again, I think that's a good thing. And for a long time, I think that was just kind of the norm. Our little boys fought each other. And it makes me wonder why so many people are like if you get a fight at school, they call the police now. You gotta fucking get arrested if you're a 13-year-old boy and you get in a fight. And our society didn't get where it was at, becoming fucking the toughest motherfuckers in the world, by being worried about two 13-year-old boys punching each other in the face. And I even say that on the post. We fought for 10 minutes and neither one of us left hurt. There wasn't some fucking highlight reel knockout. There wasn't any type of, it was just two 16-year-old kids that kind of knew how to fight, boxing each other. And that's the extent of it. Don't overthink it. But it's good for them. So fast forward, that was in 1997, I believe, maybe 1996. Fast forward to 2007, I'm deployed to Baghdad. I'm in Baghdad, Iraq. And I lived in the green zone, and I had a house inside of the green zone that I shared with one other guy. So Blackwater, when Triple Canopy went under, Blackwater picked up a lot of their contracts, and I got shuffled around with a couple different Blackwater contracts, and this one landed me in the green zone in a house with one other person. We had a bigger team, but the housing was kind of spread out throughout the green zone, so there was different houses, and I had a nice house with one other person. That dude rotated out on leave for like a month or something, and I had this house all to myself, and it was fucking cool. I enjoyed this deployment. It was pretty low key as far as operationally, but dude, I got my own house in Baghdad and I'm just working out and hanging out, and it was good. I get a knock on my door one morning, and it is my interpreter, and his name is Ehab Kafagi. Dude, to this day, I fucking laugh when I say that word, Kafagi, just like, and it's written just like it sounds. And he was our interpreter for a long time. And I was like, "What's up, Ehab?" And there's another man standing with him. And he's like, "Oh, Mr. Greg, this is my cousin. He is Baghdad kickboxing champion, and he wants to fight you." I said, "Ehab, what are you talking about, dude? You wake me up because your cousin wants to fight me? I said, does he want, he goes, well, I told him you're a martial artist too. And now he wants to fight you. And I'm like, okay, these are Iraqis. Maybe something's getting lost in translation. I said, make sure that he wants to fight me and he doesn't want to train with me. Those are very different things. Does he want to do some training today? And not that I wanted to train with an unknown, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess we'll see where it goes. But I didn't need to worry about training because he talks to him in Arabic and he looks back at me and he goes, no. He wants to fight you. And I said, fuck. I mean, I can't say no at that point, right? Because if a man fucking knocks on your front door and challenges you to a fight, what are we going to do? So I go inside and I throw a pair of board shorts on and I go back out, and this house had a front lawn area. It's like a pretty narrow strip of grass, but it was probably like 8 feet by 12 feet or something. So a perfect little area to fight each other in. And I square up with this guy and he goes into a like traditional kickboxing stance, and I just shoot a double leg and dump him on his butt instantly. Because dude, what does a Iraqi kickboxing champion entail? I don't really know. I mean, is he going to be like Mirko fucking Crow Cop and kick me in the head and almost kill me? Or was I a better kickboxer when I was 16 after 2 years of boxing and kickboxing? I don't really know. But I wasn't going to find out either. I was like, if he's a kickboxing champion, we're wrestling and we're doing jiu-jitsu instantly. And so I shoot a double leg. I take him down and I mount him and punch him like 1 or 2 times. I didn't get any like no real damage. I didn't hurt the guy. It was more of kind of like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu 101. Take down, mount, punch a couple times. And guys that don't understand jiu-jitsu will inevitably roll, give their back, choke them out. And that's exactly what happened. Just like fucking textbook fucking Gracie, old school Gracie fighting technique. But he doesn't understand the concept of tapping because he's a kickboxer. And he didn't tap and he goes to sleep. And I let him up and he comes to, and I swear on my fucking children's life that this story is true because it sounds outrageous. I know it sounds outrageous. He wakes up and he looks at me and he goes, oh, that was, obviously it's through the interpreter. It's through Ehab, but he says to Ehab and Ehab says to me, and he's like, oh man, he says, you're a very good fighter. He's very, very impressed. But he would like one more chance. And I was like, fuck, okay. Like, and he stands back up and kind of shakes the cobwebs off. And again, he didn't get hurt at all. You know, he got punched 1 or 2 times, but like I said, it wasn't a big deal. And then he got choked out, but I'm not a dick. As soon as he was out, I'm letting the choke up and I'm not mad at you. You wanted to test yourself and now we're fighting each other. And I swear to God, when we did round 2, it was literally like you had rewound the tape and just push play again. I didn't do one thing different. Shot in double leg, mount, couple punches. He rolled again, choked unconscious. And I was like, dude, it was even kind of surprising to me. It's like, what the fuck is going on right now? He comes to a second time, looks at his cousin and says something to him in Arabic. And Ehab looks at me and goes, my cousin says you are very good and he hopes to train with you one day. And got up and shook my hand, and then they left. And that's the last fucking time I ever saw that dude in my entire life. And it's like, dude, some guy just randomly hears a story about another guy that does martial arts. And his brain says, Ehab, cousin Ehab, take me to his house. I must fight this guy. It sounds outrageous, doesn't it? It does. I mean, even as I tell the story, that sounds outrageous. But that is the brain of many men throughout the world. That it's like, I'm not afraid to fight you, win or lose. I want to test myself. And that's what this kid wanted. And I say kid, we were both probably, let's see, 2007. I would have been 27 years old. And he was probably roughly my age, right? Because now at 43, old man Greg, 27-year-olds are kids. But, man, I was thinking about that story the other day because when I found this boxing fight that I had in Morocco, it brought up that memory too. And it just made me think, fuck, man, we have a society of people that are so averse to anything like that eventually it's going to be our downfall, guys. You can't be someone that is so fearful of a mild physically violent encounter. I'm not saying go knock on your neighbor's door and ask them if they'll fight you in the lawn, right? I get that that's kind of weird. Culturally, maybe it's just different. And you know what's funny? I'm actually thinking about this right now, is that way back in the day, my sister dated this Mexican guy. His name was Luis. And he was over for Christmas, and he asked my cousin if he would box him in the front yard. You want to go in the front yard and box? And I remember my cousin was like, what? No, what are you talking about? And it was kind of shocking, right? And now I'm kind of putting it all together. These random challenges. Hey, maybe it's a thing that a lot of the world partakes in, and it's just weird to Americans. And so I'm grateful that I got to have a couple fucking experiences like that, because it's bizarre, but it's kind of cool too, right? And I was thinking yesterday, I was like, I wonder where Ehab and his cousin are these days. I wonder if they're even alive. You know, shortly after that, the rise of ISIS just swept through Iraq. So many fucking civilians were just slaughtered and fucking blown up. And it's like, what a weird thing to experience, where I was in that country for the better part of 5 years, all kinds of relationships, but it's just a moment in time and you move on, and there's no way of ever knowing, you know. Back then, I mean, I bet guys that are deploying now will get contact info with their interpreters and their social media and email and shit like that. But back then it's like, hey, we worked together for 3 months and then I never see you again. And that's just how it was. So pretty interesting. But guys, we're coming up on an hour, and I wanted to wrap up with 3 healing modalities that I think you guys should, at a bare minimum, look into. The first one is a substance called methylene blue. And if you haven't heard of methylene blue, Google it, read about it, listen to some experts on YouTube talk about it. But basically what methylene blue is, it was initially a fabric dye. It was discovered and created as a fabric dye because obviously it is a dark, dark blue. And it's super fucking, like, you put 1 drop in a glass of water, the whole glass turns blue. That's how dense this stuff is. But what they've found out is this thing has properties to massively increase your metabolic health. And what I mean by metabolic health is it improves cellular function, and it improves how your mitochondria function. So this is starting to sound like a Timeline nutrition ad, right? But methylene blue holds properties to cause autophagy, meaning it encourages your cells to eat the sick or damaged cells and replace them, and then also really revitalize your mitochondria. Very similar to what the Timeline nutrition stuff does. And they have found it to really combat so many different diseases and illnesses. But it's one of those things that's readily available, and it's not a controlled substance, and it's not expensive. So I'm sure before too long they'll be coming after it, because we can't have people getting healthy on things that aren't controlled by big pharma. But an interesting thing is hydroxychloroquin is actually a derivative of methylene blue. And come to find out, hydroxychloroquin was created because methylene blue, being a dye, makes your tongue and your teeth blue and shit. So people were like, I think we need to somehow extract the actual blue from it and just keep its medicinal properties. And then therein lies the creation of hydroxychloroquin. And so I know hydroxychloroquin was demonized by everybody, and anybody that was a proponent of it was having their medical licenses stripped because of all the crazy fucking corruption going on with our government and big pharma. But now, I mean, maybe you guys have heard, the CDC just said last week that COVID is basically the same as the flu. Very, very interesting, because everybody was going to war over this shit. And you know who the worst people were in all this? The useful idiots. All the people, I got my vaccine, and they'd make their little Facebook profile saying they were pro-vaccine. And then my favorite was when they would tell other people how stupid they were. Oh, I can't fucking tell you how many times, you're not a doctor. You're not a scientist. No, but I'm also not sick. And I got COVID and I felt fine. So I probably don't need to pump a bunch of shit into my body. But if you're a critical thinker or you're averse to just fucking eating up what Big Pharma sells you, then you're somehow the bad guy. And then here we are 4 years later. Hey, it's just the same as the flu. And guys, why do you think that is? I'm not exactly sure. I'm literally asking from a place of curiosity. Why, leading into the election, would a government entity that was such a proponent of stripping your rights and forcing you to be vaccinated and shutting down your schools and shutting down your businesses, going into election cycle 2024 saying, hey, you know what? COVID's no big deal. You don't got to worry about COVID. It's basically the flu. What is the underlying reasons for that? I was talking to my wife about it this morning, and she goes, do you think they just came to a realization and are like, you know what, we're just going to tell the truth? I said, no, absolutely not. Timing is everything. These big organizations do what they're told when they're told, and there is a reason why they're trying to downplay COVID. Now, you want to go dark with it. I'm wondering if the reason they are downplaying COVID is because their big one's coming, Disease X. And they want to get everybody relaxed. They want to get everybody fucking unmasked and back to normal life and make this hit as hard as they can make it hit. Because there's still a portion of people that live in fear from COVID. I saw a fucking 12-year-old boy today at the bus stop with a mask on. My wife, as we drove by, she goes, do you think the other kids in school make fun of him? I said, I'm not sure, but I hope so. Like, if you're still masked up at 12, and this is sad because that means that this kid's been masked up since he was 8, and he just doesn't know any difference. His parents have fucking rocks in their head, and this is just life now. I said, I hope so. I hope that he gets bullied for that because it's fucking preposterous. It's preposterous that we have children wearing masks 4 years later. And so we'll see what happens with this, right? We're not going to, this episode doesn't have to be about fucking the apocalypse because that's what all our episodes are about. The second thing that I want you to look into is read a book or listen to it on Audible called Earthing. Now, this is the one that's going to get the most pushback because when you talk to people about grounding, they think you're a fucking nut. Even my best friend that's a doctor, I was talking to him about it yesterday, and he was kind of laughing. I said, bro, listen to me, dude. Like, this isn't something that's like woo-woo fucking hippie bullshit. This is now supported by fucking data and double-blind fucking studies and imagery that has shown a massive decrease of inflammation, a massive increase in the viscosity of your blood. After 30 minutes of grounding, your blood becomes more viscous and flows more efficiently through your body. So this is what's going on. A guy by the name of Clint Ober was a cable installation guy, not a cellular biologist, not a scientist, not a physician. He is a fucking cable installation guy. And he installs pieces of electronic equipment as part of his job. And he said, I've installed thousands of pieces of electronic equipment. And through that fucking career, I grounded every single one of them. Not only did I ground every single one of them, but when something is malfunctioning, one of the first things that we do to troubleshoot is to check the ground. Because when any piece of equipment that holds an electrical charge is not grounded properly, it starts to malfunction. And so he did that for years and years. And then one day he was just sitting and he said he's watching a bunch of people get off a bus and they all had like white tennis shoes on with thick rubber soles. And he's like, man, I've been dealing with electronic components and grounding them my whole life. Humans are electronic components. Our heart, our nerve synapses, There's literally electricity that makes our body function. He goes, I wonder if we need to be grounded. Just kind of, an arbitrary thought. And so what he did is he set up a ground wire and nailed a stake into the ground and grounded his bed with metal duct tape. And then he just slept on top of it. And he said he woke up feeling the best he'd felt in years. And he said, there's something to this. And so he became an advocate for it without having all the scientific knowledge, and sought scientists, sought doctors to then conduct the studies. And now it's no longer an opinion. They can watch electrons transfer from your body to the earth. So this is what's going on, guys. The earth's surface holds a negative charge. You can think of the earth as like a big battery, which is kind of crazy, right? We just think of it as a rock. But it's constantly, the earth's surface has a negative charge. The earth's atmospheres, the ions in the earth's atmospheres have a positive charge, and they're always trying to reach homeostasis or balance with each other. And that is where we see lightning. When the positive charge in the atmosphere becomes too great, it has to strike the earth via a lightning strike to find balance and essentially grounding, right? And all of these things seem kind of crazy, but when you just look at how the earth works and how our bodies work, it's like, yeah, duh. And so our bodies can hold on to too much of a charge. And if we don't ground and offload those electrons, it can build up in our bodies. And when it builds up over time, they're finding it leads to the overwhelming majority of autoimmune diseases, like fucking lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, or even like Parkinson's and MS. Tons of these diseases are one of the foundational problems that's causing these diseases is the lack of simply grounding your body on the earth. And so I've been walking barefoot a ton lately. That's part of my daily routine. Go outside and be barefoot on the ground. And then I was like, you know what? There's just not enough time in the day to be connected to the earth. So I bought a grounding mat on a website called ultimatelongevity.com. And I don't have a fucking partnership with them. This isn't an advertisement. This is me telling you, I went here, bought this piece of equipment, and I'm not exaggerating. One night of sleeping on this grounding mat, you wake up, something's different. I can't articulate exactly. I've only been on it 3 nights now, but I am sleeping better. I'm sleeping better, and I'm waking up more rested, and my body feels better. And it's not up for debate. I am fucking sold. And I've been like, when you find something out that's like, oh my God, like when you find jiu-jitsu or CrossFit or like, I guess vegans are notorious for this. When you find something that you feel like is beneficial, you just want to tell everybody, right? I'm on my podcast and I'm telling everybody. But I look at it like this, guys. For $200, you can ground your bed, and worst case scenario, it doesn't do anything, and everything I've just told you is bullshit. Best case scenario, it'll change your fucking life. And for my bed was $239 to ground it. And if it's fucking placebo bullshit, I will gladly pay $239 for a piece of equipment that makes me feel better and more rested and more energetic. It's fucking phenomenal. And so listen to that book. And once you listen to that book, it's hard to really argue with the science behind it, because there's not two sides to this story. The data is the data. And it's pretty fucking cool. The last thing that I purchased recently and have incorporated into my daily life is a big red light panel through a company called the Red Light Company. And I read the book on methylene blue written by Mark Sloan. And then I really enjoyed that book. So I was like, what are some other books he wrote? And he wrote a book called Red Light Therapy, Miracle Medicine. And again, these are modalities where you can literally just spend 10 minutes a day standing in front of a fucking red light panel, and it charges your body up and it helps you recover. It helps you on a cellular level. It also recharges mitochondria very similarly to methylene blue. In fact, combining those two things are supposed to be like the fucking Mac Daddy of improving cellular health. But Mark Sloan wrote a book about curing cancer. And a good friend of mine, this isn't a story off of the internet, this is a good friend of mine, bought his book, read his book, and put her father through his exact protocols, who was in stage 4 cancer and given, I think, 3 months to live, and completely turned it around. And he is fucking symptom free to this day and 100% healthy. Now, I will say this, that same friend of mine lost her husband to cancer a couple years earlier. And we were young. Like, he was in his, I believe he was in his early 30s when that happened, maybe even late 20s. And she went through seeing what chemo does and what the traditional treatment for cancer, how that affects people. And she watched her husband go through that and feel that pain and go through that misery, only in the end to still lose his life. And there's a lot of theories around big pharma and cancer, and I am not well versed enough to that to speak of it. And so I will say this: I don't know if it's a big money making scheme. Like people will say, like the big pharma's industry is in keeping people sick. It's sick care. It's not health care. And the ways in which they treat these people generate lots of money. And so she went through the traditional big pharma approach, and not only did it not work, but it also made the last, portion of his life extremely difficult and painful. So then when she was confronted with another close family member, her father, being told that he's going to go down the same path, she said, "Dad, are you willing to try something different?" And he goes, "You know what? I am. I'll try your ways." And it fucking worked. And so Mark Sloan, go to Amazon and look at his books. He has 2 of them written on cancer. He has the methylene blue. He has the red light therapy. And at the end of the day, guys, what I look at this as is educating ourselves and taking our own health taking our health into our own hands and being sovereign people. Like, don't get me wrong. I am never going to be one of those people that just completely shits on big pharma and Western medicine. I just had a fucking hernia surgery, right? Like, there is a time when doctors need to do operations or prescribe certain medications. I'm not against all that. I just think there's a time and a place for it. And then there's a time and a place when maybe you go educate yourself on a different healing modality and you try something different. It's just like with my knee. I was told I needed a knee replacement. I said, I'm too young for a knee replacement. I'm going to do stem cells. And here I am 3 years later, pain-free. And so I would say don't trust your doctor about everything. If they're a good person, you have a good relationship with them, cool. Get their opinions. Try and understand from their perspective and lean on their expertise. That's all good. But don't sell yourself short either. There was a time in my life when I'm like, dude, my doctor would say something and it just didn't feel right. And then I'd tell myself, bro, you're not a fucking doctor. Quit questioning everything and just let the expert do what the expert does. And that's bit me in the ass before. So at the end of the day, take the time to educate yourself. Take the time to try these different modalities. And I don't think you're going to be disappointed. And for, the red light panel is like $800. Methylene blue is cheap. And the grounding panel is fucking $240. For $1,500, you could build a new routine that is really going to make you feel substantially better. And that's what we're fucking here to do, right? Is find what works and dive in. And I'm here to tell you, you won't fucking be disappointed if you try these different modalities and actually just invest a little bit of your time and energy to them. And you're going to see it makes a fucking difference. I feel fucking great these last couple weeks, and I attribute it to the fucking grounding pad first and foremost. And then I'll tell you what, standing in front of that panel, something's going on there too. So I think that's all we got for today, guys. Again, go read that Google review. I wanted to read it to you guys, but I think it'd be better for you guys just to go fucking enjoy that experience for yourselves. But other than that, guys, thank you for listening. Solo episodes are always fun for me. I enjoy connecting with you guys, sharing my thoughts, sharing the modalities that I'm putting myself through, and also be ready for Forge Ferocity. Goes live probably next week. Thanks for listening, guys.